Hi everyone and welcome to our channel where we will try to make an overview regarding what happened in Pakistan and why most of the country end up overflowed, and we will try to study the picture we can find online. And this picture is from Global News, from European Union Copernicus, and we can see clearly that the river did rage, carrying with him lot of debris and sand, and people who are living in this area end up flooded, and this lake here end up going toward people who live in this region. Also from these pictures we can see that homes was built in the middle of rivers and in lakes, and they didn't respect nature, and when nature raged, it took all on its way. Simple as that. So if those people build their houses on rocks and on higher ground, they will not suffer like how they did suffer like that. And the wisest thing to do right now, every person who have his home in the way of a river or in a lake, to take all his belongings and go to higher ground and build their house above. According to this map, before and after, we can see clearly that the region is like a swamp, and water just fell from the mountains when the ice did fell and accumulated in this region here, which is a big huge lake. Nature is very simple. Respect nature way, nature will respect you back. For example, in Japan, people challenged the ocean, built their cities very close to the ocean, and a tsunami came and took everything on its way. Here's the same story. As people build their houses in the middle of a raging river, in the middle of lakes, and simply when ice melted down, river did rage, lakes did flooded, and took everything on its way. It's like if you give them trillions of dollars and you keep them in this region here where it was flooded, and we can see clear that there's like a delta river, you will not solve the problem, and simply you will duplicate project after project after 10 years or 5 years or whatever, and people here, they will get flooded because it will be marked as a flooded region, flooded area. Here in this picture we can see even clearer how those homes was in this region, and then water came and took everything on its way, and we can see that water is showing clearly the way, but simply people didn't respect the way of the river and they end up getting flooded. And here another example, in the middle of the riverbed they build their houses, and here also another example. So the problem is people who built their houses there didn't follow simple old wisdom. Many will say, what is this old wisdom this guy is talking about? This old wisdom, you can find it from 2000 years. Even the Roman Empire understood it very well, and even Jesus mentioned it in the Bible. Build your house on the rock. Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. But it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. This is exactly what happened in Pakistan, guys. So the geography of the region is as following: mountains on these sides where it's super cold and ice is built. Then you have rivers on here, and they go all the way to here and accumulate here, and this is where the flood happened, and then it drained. So people instead, because the mountains are very like close to the valley, and it's easier to live in the valley in the long run, but when the flood come, it get flooded. So people avoided living in the mountains and lived on this huge swamp which called Pakistan and stretch all the way to India. So if we use Google Earth and we go all the way to Pakistan, we can notice that there is mountains, as how we was saying, and there is a huge river which go in the middle of it and creating a valley. And this huge river, it was flooding all the way during thousands or many years, and that's why it's like strange to figure out to try to say that it's because of global warming or water it's rising or whatever. Like, guys, from 2000 years or 5000 years, scientists tell us that the water was reaching all this way here, and without CO2. I'm not saying that climate is not changing. Yes, climate is changing, and I'm not a climate change denier, but all I'm saying, the core of the problem is people building in the middle of the rivers and in lake form. So for example, we have here a lake which is showing where we can see the signs of it, where it can go, and simply it did overflowed, going, like for example here it's super clear this region here will overflow. If we can zoom all the way, we can see that people are living here. So this is the main problem. It's like people need to build little bit far away from those places. So no matter how much money will be gathered and given to Pakistan from the UN, from the US aid, from the Arab world, from any place, even if China will help or India will help, if people of Pakistan stay living in this swamp here, which we see it clearly, and close to the lakes and rivers, it's not like rocket science to know that, like, nature is not like, oh, this is the level of water of the river and we will respect it all the time. Nature don't work like that. All depend on snow, melting snow, lot of things are combined, and oceans was higher from 200-300 years. Now they are lower, they might go higher. It's not about just global warming and climate change. And a wise person, the same exactly how Jesus teaches us, will build this house on a above ground and on a rock. Simple as that. Some people might argue that there's no rocks in many regions and all of it is sand. It's a lie. Mountains are everywhere, rocks are everywhere. The Roman Empire understood these simple basic rules of engineering, and Jesus teaches in his Bible, and unfortunately after 2000 years we are now here and people are building in the middle of the ocean, like they making artificial islands and they build on them, and we have a airport in Japan drowning because of that. So it's a problem of engineering where people are building their house more than it's a problem of climate change, in my opinion. Stay safe, everyone. Always remember, build your house on a rock and higher ground.